working on a 2008 Mazda CX-7 with the 2.3 liter turbo, and the problem I'm having is I've got no power to the starter. Little background, I bought this car not running, not working, bad battery, bad motor, so I got a different motor from a 2010, rebuilt it, put it in just to find out that there's no power coming to the starter. So I just want to walk through my findings. So when I go to start it, just a click. So next thing we're going to do is take a test light and just hook it up and look for power. Alright, test light to the negative terminal, and then let's run this cable just down here and we'll go underneath and find it. Okay, under the car there's the oil filter, and above it is the back end of the starter. Now this terminal right here is the M terminal, and that is not the one we're looking for. This one here is the S terminal that's got the little clip on it, and then the B terminal for positive battery. I don't think I can get a good view of it, but it's behind this plastic cap right here, and it just sticks out enough to get test light on it. So I'm touching it right now and you can't see anything, but there's no test light, there's no light coming on, and that's supposed to be 12 volts constant, and that should light up instantly, and it's not. So next steps would be to look at your fuse panel. We've got two starter fuses. There's a starter 2, and then there's the main starter right here. So on this fuse panel it's this one and this one right here. Now you could easily just swap these around with another one that's known good. So if you know that the horn works, you know, swap it with the starter, whatever. Same thing with down here, these are the same. So the engine and the starter one, you can swap those and see if anything changes. In this case, nothing changed. So the next thing, right now the test light's still connected, the key is off, nothing's turned on, and I just want to see what we have for power. And this is for the starter relay. Alright, so we have light, constant power with the key off on that one, and then starter relay number 2, same thing, we'll just check to see if there's any constant voltage on any of these, and there's not. So I'm going to turn the key on and recheck. Alright, key is in the on position, and we'll see if we have any light or any power coming through. Okay, so we have power coming through here, and let's check this one down here to see if anything's changed. Okay, so still that one's the same, and then this one. So why do you want to know that? Only if you need to figure out through a wiring diagram if it's supposed to have power and it doesn't. So let's just assume that everything is correct as it is and keep moving. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and test the relay. They are numbered on the bottom side, but I wrote it on the side so it's easier to see which numbers we're testing. So we're going to apply positive and negative to 86 and 85, and then once we hear that click, so we know that it's made a connection, we're going to check for continuity between these two pins here, 87 and 30. So I just got a positive hooked up here, negative hooked up there, and I'm just going to connect the leads. Alright, so I've got the positive hooked up to 85, and you can use 86, either way, it doesn't matter. And I'm just going to do a little click test. You can hear it clicking. So now what I'm going to do, don't cross your leads. Okay, so now it's open, so it'll stay on there. Got my ohm meter set to continuity. I want to make sure these are connected now. Okay, so we know that relay is good. You would do the same with this one. You would disconnect positive and negative here, and then check for continuity between these two terminals here. And this one's good. Let's also check our battery. So I've got it set to 20 volts DC. Make sure we didn't miss anything along the way. 12.66 should be no issues there. And go back to our test light. Hook to ground, negative. We've got good light, good light, good light. And let's check. So we know this wire right here runs directly to the starter. There's nothing in between. It's just this line to the starter and there's no power. So we'll pop in on this cable and just push in through the sheathing into the wiring, knowing that we've got connection in there and there's no light. So we've got light here. So down here, so this is an inline fuse right here. If that fuse is good, I should be able to touch down here on the metal between the plastic and the sheathing and have light. But I got nothing. So somewhere this fuse got blown, and these aren't necessarily replaceable fuses is my understanding, but you can't just swap it with anything. Alright, so here's the schematic layout for you. This is the starter, this is the battery, and then this is showing the cable that comes off, and there's the fuse. 150 amp fuse is what this is. So you can't just swap it out with whatever you want. It's got to be 150 amp fuse. You can put whatever fuse type you want, but it's got to be 150 amp. So that's where we're going to go next, is swapping this fuse out. So the other part of this is a one-piece unit, right? This piece here through the fuse into the yellow cable down into the starter. So ideally, if you're using an aftermarket piece, we're just going to cut this wire and splice it in whatever you want. Now I was lucky enough, sort of, when I bought this 2010 motor that I rebuilt, that they sent me the wiring harness. Now it's not complete, they ripped crap out of it when they did it. However, I do have the inline fuse. This goes to the battery terminal all the way down to the starter. So let's go back to our continuity tester. This guy right here. I just want to make sure that this fuse is good. So there's a little bit of metal right there under it. You can hear it zinging. So that one's good. So luckily, I can just take this apart, cut it, splice it, and put it back together, and then we'll see if we've got power. Alright, in preparation, we've got to disconnect all of our power, right? Negative comes off, and then I don't really want to play around with arcing that out, so I'm going to take that one off as well. I'm going to get this battery out of the way. And this is only finger tight because I was having it off of there. This needs to be loosened up a little bit. I'll swing over. So now it's just a matter of finding the right place to cut and splice. So we just got to find the right length, you know, leave yourself enough to have an oopsie with. And I already know this is going to take a few times of cutting and squeezing because it's a thick cable. Alright, so I cut it and marked it, so just easier to identify. And then I'm just going to mark it a little bit longer than the other one was. Make sure to leave myself enough room. I'll cut it. Okay. Just need to splice it, and then I got a 4-gauge butt connector, which is just probably, it's about the right size, but it seems a little big. We'll get it put together. So if you look at the splice on this, it's not a lot. And there's my thumbnail, because that's not very deep in there. You want the wire to be connected and not have a bunch of sheathing in there. Alright, I got the butt tie. This is like $4 a piece, by the way. Also, I mean, get your grip strength ready. I tried a magnitude of things, but what worked best, big old fat pair of vice grips, and then just make it smaller and smaller as you squeeze it down. So now we just need to make sure we got good connection. So I got a push pin into the material there, and then get our continuity tester, multimeter. I just heard it. There it is. Okay, so we've got good connection there. Now we just need to electrical tape it up to make sure it's secure. Alright, before I go any further, what I'm going to do is another continuity test. I'm going to take the lead from that new connection down toward the starter, and I think I could probably get you in there on the lead. Yep, that's making connection. Alright, battery's hooked back up. Everything's ran and tight. So before I go any further, let's just recheck. We've got our 12 volts, so let's use our test light. And great. Try this from the top again. And we've got power. Okay, so I'm going to see if this thing will crank over, and that's the point of the video, to see if that fixes the cranking problem. I have never started this motor, so I'm kind of crapping my pants, so there's going to be a moment here.